One of the men who was there for today's national security briefing for Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. Retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn was director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, is now an advisor to Donald Trump. He joins us from Trump Tower in New York. And General, I know that it's a noisy, busy street out there, so I'll try to make sure you can hear us all right. I know there were concerns going into the briefing that some speculated and wondered whether Mr. Trump would get the full quantity of information from this briefing. Are you satisfied that he got a thorough briefing today?
Yeah, so first of all, I think the briefers that came in today were just absolutely professional, the top of their field, and then the discussion that we had was very thorough. I will tell you that we were only able to scratch the surface of the complexity of the threats that our country faces. And so today was really just the beginning of a long dialogue between essentially what this represents, which is a series of intelligence briefings for the next president of the United States. So I thought they were well prepared, a great conversation. It lasted a full 2 hours, and we really only scratched the surface today on many of the complexities that the next president of the United States is going to face.
General, this morning in an interview with Fox News on Fox and Friends, Mr. Trump was asked, and I don't want to play the soundbite. I think it might be hard for you to hear, so I'll paraphrase a bit. He said, he was asked, do you trust the intelligence that you're going to get? And he said, not so much from the people that have been doing it for our country. Look at what's happened over the last 10 years. I mean, it's been catastrophic. But it sounds like your experience today is that you're confident that he got quality as well as quantity.
Yeah, he did. He got a good, solid set of presentations from some real professionals. And I would tell you that one of the interesting things is, and people in the intelligence community know this, is that they present the intelligence. The policy decisions that a president makes sometimes can be in dramatic contrast to the intelligence that they receive. And I think that part of what I saw today that just reaffirmed my belief of some of the complexities that we're facing around the world, some of the threats we're facing around the world, and then those policy decisions that this particular administration has made under both Hillary Clinton and President Obama, in many cases are in stark contrast to the intelligence that we were presented today.
Let's talk about some of the priorities when it comes to foreign policy and some of the threats. At the top of the list for most people is ISIS. How would a President Trump tackle that particular problem?
Yeah, I think the first thing to do is to clearly define this enemy that we're facing. And we did spend quite a bit of time talking about this problem today. You know, I would just sort of emphasize the fact that this enemy needs to be clearly defined, and the American public needs to know that the leader that is in the White House understands the scale, the scope, the dimension that this threat faces, that we face from this threat, that we face. And we also need to be able to go after this doctrine of radical Islamism. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump has talked about in spades. And so I don't see coming out of today's briefing that that's going to change in any form or fashion at all. If anything, it reemphasizes and renews what it is that I think we went in there understanding already about this enemy that we're facing.
Given the team that Mr. Trump has around him, advising him, including yourself, do you feel like there is an actual practical step-by-step plan for tackling ISIS, not only understanding the threat that's there, but actual steps for rooting it out?
Yeah, I think, so the answer is yes. I mean, some of the discussions that we had up here today in New York were about exactly that question, getting into some specifics. But I would just tell you that one of the things that we have to be very certain about is that we should no longer be the best enemies in the world, where we continue to telegraph exactly what it is that we're going to do if, in fact, Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States. And I would say on the other side, we also need to stop being the worst friends in the world, and we need to renew the alliances and the friendships that we have, particularly in the Middle East, with some of the countries that feel as though that sort of they're not in our camp anymore. And those are two of the things that I would say that again were reemphasized to me, and I know they were reemphasized to Donald Trump. And I will tell you that I think that if you were able to talk to the professionals that were in the room with us today from the intelligence community, they would tell you that some of the questions and some of the discussion that we had was probably as thorough as they've had in a long time.
General, let's talk about Russia. There is a lot of tension there between Ukraine, between Russia. There are also growing concerns about Russia's growing coziness with Iran, the operations there as well. And there are questions about Mr. Trump, Paul Manafort, a part of the campaign, their relationships with various individuals in Russia as well. What can we expect on that front? Do you think that there is a plan also for dealing with that very tenuous relationship, which is critical to things from Syria to Iran and beyond?
Yeah, so all this noise about Russia and Paul Manafort and frankly even myself is just nonsense. And we did talk about Russia today, and I won't get into any of the specifics. Russia does not have the same perspective and the same belief in the way the world ought to work as we do. Everybody needs to understand that. Russia at times, though, Russia's deeply involved in the Middle East, and one of the things that we have to recognize is how do we work in a smart way, in an effective way, to be able to operate and to deal with this problem of radical Islamism. I mean, we have to stop kidding ourselves. I think most of your audience has seen some of the actions from the Russians just recently flying out of Iran, as an example, and conducting operations into Syria. So there's a problem. Russia's part of this problem. We have to figure out ways that we're going to have to deal with them in some cases to be able to solve this rapidly expanding problem of radical Islamism, as well as what's happening in the Middle East, but as well as what's happening right here in the homeland. So again, good discussions. Going in, my expectations were that I would walk away knowing that we have a problem and that problem's not getting any better.
General Flynn, much on the plate for the next president, whoever he or she may be. Thank you for your service to this country and for making time for us today, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Shannon. Thanks for the time.